Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. I'm Walter Sterling, the Dean of St. John's College in Santa Fe, and on behalf of our President Mark Roosevelt, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 56th commencement of this campus in the 326th year of the college. I want to welcome everyone joining us today, both here and remote through our live stream to celebrate the accomplishments of our graduating students. We welcome students, staff, faculty, members of our Board of Visitors and Governors, our alumni, and other friends and community members. We're so glad you all are joining us today. For those of you who are here in front of me, I want to note that there's water available at Weigel Hall and in the ESL breezeway to my left. And with that, I'd like to invite up our Associate Dean for Graduate Programs, Ned Walpin, who's going to offer a word of welcome, and then we will move to the presentation of awards and prizes.
Welcome, everyone. It's wonderful being here with you all, whether here in person or here online. It's a continuation of our year of returning to something like normalcy, and I'm very grateful that family, friends, and supporters are witnessing this event as well. I have been so energized by our in-person students as well as our low residency students. The new opportunity of taking these programs online remains very exciting. Many of you would have only dreamed of joining the Graduate Institute had it been solely in person. And for this new possibility, we are grateful. I am convinced that your education, in whichever form, in either of the two programs, is as important today as ever. In a world so riven by division, St. John's is a place of health. Indeed, Nietzsche himself refers to great health, a psychological and even philosophical condition of life affirmation in the face of a world that is sick. In doing what you have done, you have given birth yet again to the idea that we humans can talk to each other, listen to each other, deepen each other, and experience joy and happiness in living, even when we are together utterly confused. The texts you have encountered in both the Eastern Classics and the liberal arts programs are the bases for our work, but you all are the engine of this great health. May your great health endure. May you help bring that ever-deepening life affirmation to others. May you help heal the world in the myriad ways that you can. And now we turn to prizes. I'm going to read off prizes, and then the person who is the recipient will come on up and come past me and shake hands with the dean. For his GIEC seminar essay, The Buddha Field in the Vimalakirti Sutra, a many-jeweled magic show, Daniel Grifferty. You might not want to move too far. He can come around again. For his GIEC preceptorial essay, Religion in Romance, Genji as the Messiah of Mappo, Daniel Grifferty. Now, I'm going to say this word once, and I'm not going to get it right even once, but we'll try it. For his best Sanskrit, for the best Sanskrit translation, for the, oh Lord help me, the Prajnaparamita Daya Sutram. Did I do okay? Thank you. I'm not going to try that again. Nicholas Kalish. For the best Sanskrit translation, honorable mention of the same poem, is it a poem or it's a sutra? There we go, is Casey Anderson. Did I go out of order, or did I? Dan's got another. I went out of order. I'm sorry. Make sure you give him the right envelope. And then for another honorable mention of that same sutra's translation, Daniel Grifferty. And now Mr. Grifferty can sit down. For his liberal arts preceptorial essay, honorable mention of spring 2022, Dance, Acquaintance and Introduction, Conditions on the Unfolding of Character and Pride and Prejudice, Justin Spain. I think he's unable to attend. For her GIEC preceptorial essay, honorable mention, for Contract with the Malign Spirit, Hyuk-hee Kwon. For her GIEC preceptorial essay, honorable mention, The Know-How of Not Knowing, Laura Cleveland. And for his GIEC preceptorial essay, honorable mention, A Solitary Temple Amid Clearing Peaks, Daniel Gillis. I want to give one more thanks before we give a round of applause to all of our prize winners. I want to thank Patrick Anderson for his many semesters of excellent writing assistance that hopefully you all have benefited from. He had a wonderful experience doing it and was very grateful to work with you all. So let's give him a round of applause. And now we're going to give another round of applause to all of our award winners. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker today. I'm extremely happy to introduce our commencement speaker, Ambassador Mark Wall. Ambassador Wall graduated from St. John's College's Graduate Institute Liberal Arts program in Annapolis in 2017, and the Eastern Classics program here in Santa Fe last summer. He also has completed the 5th segment of the liberal arts program, taken part in 5 preceptorials as an alum, and has attended various weekend seminars. Before coming to St. John's, Mark was a diplomat and an occasional college professor. A U.S. Foreign Service officer, he served as ambassador to Chad, coordinated economic programs in Iraq, negotiated trade agreements with China, Taiwan, and Japan, and advised the U.S. military's Pacific headquarters in Hawaii. He helped open the U.S. Embassy in Zimbabwe and was a member of the Secretary of State's policy planning staff. Mark has taught at Georgetown University, the City College of New York, the National Defense University, and the University of Wyoming. He has an undergraduate degree in history from Princeton University and a graduate degree in international affairs from Columbia University. Mark is a member of various boards and study groups, and he divides his time between an apartment in Washington, D.C., and a farm in Western Maryland. I am extremely grateful he was willing to speak today and reflect on his experiences at St. John's and elsewhere. Ambassador Mark Wall.
Well, thank you, Dean Walpin, for, for such a kind introduction. It's a delight for me to be here, delight for me to be back here, and it's an honor, too. It's a delight and an honor for me to be able to express to you, to all of you, congratulations. Congratulations, first of all, for proving Mark Twain wrong when he said that classics are something everyone wants to have read, but nobody wants to read. But you've read some of the great ones, and you wouldn't be here if you hadn't wanted to read them. Congratulations also, because I know what you've accomplished and what a relief you must feel. I know that because last year I was sitting in the same chairs as you are now, robed and kind of broiling in the late morning sun. You're feeling much like you do now. I also know how forgettable speeches like this often are, so I don't want to postpone the moment too long when Dean Walpin calls you to the stage to receive your diploma. Each of you has a story about what brought you here and what your experience here meant to you. Let me say a few words about my story in the hope that some of it might resonate with you. I'm not quite sure how or why I came to St. John. There were a number of reasons. One that I recall is as a teenager, when a great book salesman came to our house, and my mother ended up buying the entire set along with the Gateway to the Great Books and an annual subscription to The Great Ideas Today. I didn't go to St. John's as an undergraduate, but that was just one of the seeds that was planted. My career as a diplomat took me far from Annapolis and Santa Fe. But along the way, I heard about the GI program. During one of my stops in Washington, I visited the Annapolis campus, and I realized that this was something I could do. So within a year after my return to the DC area, I began commuting 2 evenings a week to the Annapolis campus. But 4 semesters there and a degree in liberal arts weren't enough. I was hooked. And so over the next few years, as was mentioned, I did the preceptorials, I did more weekend classics, I did the 5th segment. And I'd always had in the back of my mind that I'd really like to do the Eastern Classics program as well. So 2 years ago, during the midst of the COVID shutdown, when word went out that the program was going entirely online, I jumped at the chance. And that's what brought me here to be sitting where you are now a year ago. It was a bit of a challenge for me getting used to the St. John's way. I had to break some of the habits from my professional lifetime and learn new ways of reading, new ways of writing, new ways of communicating. I'd grown used to reading very rapidly, getting the gist of what I thought I needed to know and moving on. But St. John's forced me to slow down, to stand back and ask, what does the author really mean by that? Do the assumptions make sense? My undergraduate studies didn't help because I did a lot of intellectual history. Intellectual history is as much about context as text. Yes, the thought of the author matters, but also what matters is the life that shaped the thought and the times that shaped the life. But I had to get over that here at St. John's because we don't do context, we do text. And that took a bit of getting used to. Writing, too, was something of a challenge. In my work in government and with the military, I'd been habituated to making my points as succinctly and decisively as I could. But that's not necessarily how we write here. As you know, the point is to explore a question, to probe the author's premises and consider alternative ways of understanding. I well remember my first semester in the liberal arts program when my kind tutor in the literature tutorial asked me to come in and talk about the paper I had written on King Lear. Loosen up, she told me. You don't have to be so cut and dried in your arguments. I should give myself room to roam. Since then, I've also come to appreciate St. John's way of communicating. I recall another tutor passing along Mortimer Adler's observation that reading alone is a lot like drinking alone. You can do it, but it's a lot less fun. As someone used to reading alone and having steered clear from reading groups, it took me a while to get used to the conventions of our discussions. It took me some time to get used to addressing others as Mr. or Ms. or Mix. But it became second nature, and I grew to like it because it helped to put all of us on an equal footing, and it set guardrails of formality and respect when exchanges might get a bit testy. And I realized, too, that when differences do arise, how much more effective it is to pose a question about the point someone else is making rather than trying to confront it directly. And communicating is as much about listening as speaking. Our seminars remind us how much more we can learn by keeping our mouth shut. On the other hand, they also encourage us to speak up when the moment's right. So we're always trying to find that happy medium between speaking up too much and speaking up too little. So in this way, learning becomes an exercise in collaboration. When I meet with St. John's undergrads, I tell them that they have a lot in common with diplomats, because Johnnies and diplomats are both experts at dealing with culture shock, because taking on a new text is a lot like taking on a new assignment in a country you really haven't spent any time in before. You have to learn a new vocabulary, new personalities, new ways of thinking, a new mental culture. It's natural to feel lost, but gradually you begin to learn your way around. And that's why I tell Johnnies that their experience here is such a good experience for diplomacy. But that's true not just for diplomats, but it's true for all of us, because we're always landing in new jobs, taking on new jobs, living in new places. And our experience here helps to make us, I think, more adaptable, more resilient, more perceptive, better able to orient ourselves in strange new environments. Those of you who've completed the program in Eastern Classics have felt culture shock especially acutely, or maybe not. A fellow student of mine once commented that he wasn't interested in reading the Eastern text because he felt he had so much to learn about the Western tradition. I took issue with that. What better way to learn about your own tradition than by immersing yourself in another? And are the traditions all that different? East or West, the texts grapple with many of the same fundamental questions about who we are, how we relate to each other, how we understand our world. The Greeks and the Indians seem in some ways to stem from the same rootstock. Are the Mahabharata and the Odyssey telling the same story in different ways in their accounts of Arjuna and Odysseus challenging their rivals in a contest of who can bend the bow and shoot the arrow? This raises a question in my mind why we divide the GI program in the way we do. Is the separation of liberal arts from Eastern Classics only just an arbitrary distinction? Thomas McKively makes the point in the shape of ancient thought when he says, ancient cultures from the Eastern Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean were shaped through a continuous interplay with one another, an interplay only dimly seen, which is the hidden map of ancient history. What they seem to reveal, he goes on to say, is not a structure of parallel straight lines, one labeled Greece, another Persia, another India, but a tangled web in which an element in one country, culture often leads to elements in others. I think he's on to something. I know there's planning going on and designing a program in Middle East studies. I think that's great. But perhaps there's also a case for an integrated program in global studies. I know, easier said than done, but a classic text is a classic text, whatever tradition it belongs to. All give voice to our common humanity. When I was going through the GI program, both the liberal arts and the Eastern classics, I'd sometimes recall the lines in Yeats's Sailing to Byzantium. I felt that I too was studying monuments of an aging intellect. But then I began to question that notion. These works aren't remote at all. Stringfellow Barr, the president of St. John's when the so-called new program was introduced, gets at this in words that are etched into the wall at the entrance of the Barr Buchanan building in Annapolis. For if you were now to ask me, what are these books about, he observes, I should without hesitation answer, these books, my reader, were written about you. But that's not quite how I saw it either. These books aren't just written about me, they have come to live inside me. They're companions in the inner world that I inhabit. Homer making his way home, Arjuna questioning why he must fight, Genji in exile on the Akashi coast, Montaigne scribbling in his tower, Kierkegaard imagining Abraham on his way to Mount Moriah with his son, Leopold Bloom meandering through the Dublin streets. These and many other characters and scenes in the works we've read are regular visitors in my mental home. But more recently, reading Emerson in a weekend classics seminar made me question whether this was such a good thing. Maybe I'd become too absorbed in these texts. Emerson writes in Self-Reliance, the highest merit we ascribe to Moses, Plato, and Milton is that they set at naught books and traditions and spoke not what men, but what they thought. A man should learn to detect and watch the gleam of light which flashes across his mind from within, more than the luster of the firmament of bards and sages. His point made me consider that perhaps I was becoming too attached to these bards and sages. Perhaps like Yeats in The Circus Animal's Desertion, players and painted stage took all my love and not those things that they were emblems of. Perhaps I should look within or strike out more on my own. Perhaps, again like Yeats, I too must lie down in the foul, where all the ladders start, in the foul rag and bone shop of the heart. But Emerson had more to say about the matter. In The American Scholar, he talks about the value of creative reading as well as creative writing. What is the right use of books? His answer, they're nothing but to inspire. I take the point he's making to be this. Don't let the texts we read be the end of our learning, but rather the inspiration to read more and learn more, and through that reading and learning to become more thoughtful, more reflective, and more aware. You're about to be called on the stage to receive your diploma. That's a mark of what you've accomplished. Yet what that also means is that you've just scratched the surface of the riches of what humans have felt and thought in both the East and West. I think the real measure of success is the extent to which the program here has inspired you to probe deeper. You've made a start, but it's the start of a lifelong journey. There are many ways St. John's can support you along the way. As GI grads, as you know, you can join preceptorials, pursue weekend classics seminars, summer of classics, executive seminars, and I hope you'll take advantage of these and other opportunities to continue exploring and learning. Emerson goes on to pose another question. Is not indeed every man a student? Perhaps the lesson we should take away with us today is that, yes, indeed, we all are. Congratulations again. I hope we have a chance to talk some more after the ceremonies. Thank you very much.
Let the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts rise. Dean Walpin, the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts stand before you.
I, the Associate Dean of Graduate Programs in Liberal Education of St. John's College in Santa Fe, bear witness that these individuals have applied themselves among us to the programs of study in the Graduate Institute, and that they have successfully completed the program in Eastern Classics and in Liberal Arts.
In that case, Dean Walpin, we, the President, the Dean, and the tutors of St. John's College in Santa Fe, New Mexico, bear witness that these individuals have applied themselves among us to the program of studies in the Graduate Institute of Liberal Education, that they have successfully completed their program in the Eastern Classics or in the Liberal Arts, and finally, that in this public session on this 5th day of August, 2022, they have reached the degree of Master of Arts. In witness of this, we have, on this aforesaid day and year, subscribed our names to these letters, which have been confirmed by the Great Seal of the College. By command of the Board of Visitors and Governors of St. John's College, I admit you to the degree of Master of Arts.
The candidates for the degree of Master of Arts will come forward as the name of each is called.
And we're going to start with liberal arts graduates, and many of these, unfortunately, are unable to attend, so it's going to be a moment of great celebration when our one LA student is able to come up on stage. Nikolai Francesc Federspiel Otalea, Grass Valley, California. Michael Paul Fletcher, Dalton, Georgia, unable to attend. Alec Hale Johnson, Durango, Colorado, unable to attend. Melissa Livesey, Austin, Texas, unable to attend. Claire Elaine McMahon, Oceanside, California, unable to attend. Dominic Campbell Pugliese, Washington, D.C., unable to attend. Robin Marie Roiger, Phoenix, Arizona. They're all watching online. Lemanuel A. Shelley, Fairfield, Connecticut, unable to attend. And now for our Eastern Classics graduates, Jaisal Escoban Adkins, Fleming Island, Florida. And I think he is unable to attend. It's going to get good, though. Just watch. Casey Alexander Anderson, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Susan Drennan Gabriel Bunn, New York, New York, unable to attend. Patricia Burke, Bakersfield, California. Oops. Elisiana Brooke Carter, Jupiter, Florida. Pamela Carter, Tulsa, Oklahoma. John David Edwards, Placitas, New Mexico. Daniel Feldman Gillis, West Hartford, Connecticut. Raquel Estella Goldman, New York, New York. Daniel James Grifferty, Albany, New York. Nicholas Kalish, Portland, Oregon. Alexander Dietrich Kellenberg, Bethesda, Maryland. Hyuk-hee Kwon, Seoul, Korea, South Korea. Leslie Michelle Rice, Deal, Maryland, unable to attend. Ian Jake Stottlemyre, St. Louis, Missouri. Sean Michael Sweet, Lake Oswego, Oregon. And last but not least, Humphrey Zhu, Shanghai, China. There you go. And we have a Certificate of Education in Liberal Arts recipient, Jan Pastorik, Košice, Slovak Republic. I want to congratulate you all on your accomplishments. What extraordinary work you all have done. Please let's give all our graduating students a round of applause. I also want to read a quick note, a short note from the president of the St. John's Alumni Association to you all. The St. John's Alumni Association sends a heartfelt welcome to you on your graduation. You join the over 300 years of St. John's graduates and almost 200 years of membership in one of the oldest independent alumni associations in America. We look forward to connecting with you as you join the Johnny alumni community. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dean Walpin. In just a moment, we'll close. You're all invited to join us for lunch on the Pond Placida, including some covered areas, so please do so. As we process out, please hold your positions and let the faculty process down here, and then the students, and we will greet you, graduates, on your way out of the procession. In a moment, we'll have one final congratulations, but it occurs to me that we should say the last program requirement is to sit in the very hot sun for about an hour, and I think you all have thereby completed the program. I also want to join in thanking Ambassador Wall for sharing his poignant and meaningful reflections with us today. So, one more time, one big final congratulations to our graduates.